IoNation. We will be running a lot of these spaces now on a lot of these AMAs now on Spaces. It's just an incredible forum for us to connect with our crypto community across the Web3 space. And just connect with so many new people. So for those of you who are new here, welcome to the IoNation AMA. We do this as regularly as we can, at least once a week. And we just answer all of your burning questions, right? And we've got like incredible AMAs that we'll have coming up, full of guest speakers, some of the senior executive team here at ionet, and so much more. Today on the call, you have myself. I work in the marketing team here at ionet. You have Gaurav, who's our chief technology officer, and you have Tarsif, who essentially manages all of our global partnerships and BD stuff. So incredibly excited to have you here. And first of all, thank you all for sending in your questions. Now, with that being said, we are going to kick off the very, very first AMA. Now, the first question for you guys is regarding workers. So a few of you have sent in questions for this. Gaurav, we got a really interesting question here from the community. So the question is actually regarding like workers and asking why they tagged as failed without a detailed explanation. Some of the explanations are basically coming across as you did not pass the test, but some of our users are really looking for a little bit more in-depth sort of answers into that. Do you have any context that you can additionally share with the team?
Yeah, I think I take the feedback here. So if people are not aware, if you go to Explorer and on the Workers tab, if you open any device, you basically can see the list of failures you have for that device. For example, let's say I open Explorer, go to a worker, click on a device ID. I'll see block reward nomination eligibility status. And in that, we had like listed down almost all the failures practically which could stop you to earn block rewards. Meaning, like if you don't have your Solana wallet address associated, if let's say your connectivity isn't great, if you're failing proof of work, if your device doesn't have a sufficient IO state, if you're having issues with uptime, right? Similarly, I think the question where it's coming from is that we also have one of the reasons there is the cluster creation test as pass or fail. What that means is that when somebody new joins into the network, we basically try to create a cluster, add that node as a part of the cluster, and then see how it behaves. Does it persistently is there with the particular cluster? Is the CPU and GPU showing the right percentage? They're not overused, so on and so forth. Plus, we do this, we call it re-QC within the company, the quality control test on a daily basis. And it's a very simple thing. We create a cluster and see how you behave once you add it, if you're added into the cluster. That's all it is. But looks like this cluster creation test is not clear to all the people. So I take the feedback. And for some of these things which may not be very obvious, we will add a tooltip there with more explanations. We personally felt that all these things are very straightforward and easy to understand. But maybe like we have more context, so it was straightforward for us. But for a lot of community people, it may not be. So I take the feedback. We'll make sure to add a tooltip there going forward.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Gaurav. And guys, that just shows that we really want to work as closely as possible with you guys, with our community to help drive all of our products, all the clarity. We want to be as user-centric as possible. So anything like that, any suggestions, always feel free to send them in. Our tech team always has open ears about how we can refine things a little bit better in order to naturally best serve you and our prospective customers, right? So thank you so much for that suggestion. It's little tweaks like that that make a big difference to the user experience. With that being said, we've got another question regarding workers. So some of you have sent in the question that is there a recommended device or hardware for running a worker? I'd probably take that and I'd say, like, Gaurav, feel free to chime in after, but like, I'd probably say that, look, we probably wouldn't be able to advise specifically, but naturally, we do have a list about our supported devices as well on the Explorer page for you to get a better idea on the device model you would like to consider. So that's probably what I would say. But Gaurav, I don't know if you want to add a little bit more color to that.
So I think there are two parts to it, right? If you're looking from the perspective of the block reward return, it's a financial investment decision. Like I'll rather not comment on it. It's a personal decision. But in terms of, I think, probability of you getting hired, I think the numbers say it for themselves. When we're looking at the market and the kind of demand which are coming in, it's predominantly for the H100, the 4090s, the A100s. Like your these kind of devices are has a higher probability of getting hired because that's what it is and like that's what's being demanded by a lot of the users from us. But if you're looking from the financial perspective, like which one you should go, I don't think like we should comment out there as a platform, honestly. But I think there's some interesting things happening. I literally was on a call yesterday with one of the biggest players in media houses in India, and they basically wanted CPUs also, and they actually asked for some lower grade hardware also, like other than 4090s. So right now, I think predominantly we always saw a demand coming in for 4090s, the A100 and H100. But very recently, in couple of big demands, we are seeing a ask for the CPU and the lower 3070s and so on and so forth.
Yeah, totally fair, Gaurav, and makes a lot of sense. So thank you so much for sharing some context on that. The last question regarding workers, right? Obviously, we all know Apple is innovating, although sometimes that can be a little bit debatable. But look, they are releasing their M4 chips, and a lot of the community do have questions regarding M4 chips. So, for example, they would say, like, when will the M4 chips potentially be deployed on the IO network? Will they be supported? If so, will any existing devices potentially lose support? Lots of sort of questions regarding the M4 chips in general, but Gaurav would love your perspective on this. Like, is there any plans to launch M4 chips? What does that sort of look like at this moment in time?
Yeah, so it'll be a bit long-winded answer. So apologies for that in advance. If you want a TLDR, the answer is yes, we will support it soon. But I think if I add more context to it, right, it basically is a yes, considering the past history of the M family improvements which have happened in past, right? But uh, and like some of the people who might not know, but the new M4 has many things going for it. Few among the many which caught my personal eye is basically the thermal management, where there is a efficient cooling system which prevent the processor from overheating, which basically means it's enabling it to maintain a high clock speeds and deliver the consistent performance for a longer period of time, right? The second thing is in the M4 you have like more number of hardware accelerators, which especially is enabling the better performance in the ML side of things, right? There were some hardware accelerators in M3 also, but they were limited. Now there are much more number of accelerators which are added in M4 family. And the third, which I saw personally, was the memory bandwidth. It has the increased memory bandwidth, which basically allows the faster data transfer between the GPU and the system memory. Why am I saying these things? Because these three things cumulative in the context of a DePIN is basically meaning we have advancements in translation to the faster training, the inference, and the enhanced simulation capabilities. So on paper, if I look at M4, it's a no-brainer that we will add it, right? In short, right? But practically speaking, all these things look on paper a no-brainer. But I was taught in my experience in past is that everything looks good on paper until it goes to production and the real world case. So we would love to get hands on this hardware, test it, decide the multiplication factor, what it would be, and then we'll move ahead with it, right? Like looking at the history of M family, I think it will be a yes, but the multiplication factor we will only decide once we get the hold on the hardware and we test it, we test our Docker on it, and so on and so forth, right? And once we decide the multiplication factor, then only we can decide whether we will remove any other M devices which are lower in chain, because the overall return on the block reward may be impacted once a new M4 family is added, right? So I'll say, in short again, M4 will be added looking at the past history, but if any other M chips will be removed, wait for it because testing will be done, multiplication factor will be decided, and then we will see the returns on the block rewards, and then we'll make our next decisions after that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gaurav. I think that provides a very clear roadmap. And, these things are always exciting because it always shows the innovation of the industry, and naturally that has a knock on effect on us. But it's the right questions to ask, and love that is coming in from you guys, because that gives us definitely room for consideration and innovation. So thank you so much for sharing that, Gaurav. Well, guys, that ties up the workers section of the AMAs. Before we head on to the next section, which is probably more along my remit regarding community and XP, Tarsif, just checking that you're all set up, that your mics are working, all good from your side now.
Yeah, it should be all good from my side. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Fantastic, Tarsif. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. So first of all, shout out to the community. There's so much activity in the community right now. We're hitting higher highs in terms of engagement, in terms of activity. We really love all of the positive vibes that you guys are sending in. We've got a few questions here from you guys regarding the XP system. For those of you who don't know, we really like to incentivize, reward, and really show that badge of honor for all of our community members who are putting in the hard work, who are essentially engaging, putting in all of the effort to stay within the IO ecosystem. And we have a question here which says, when will the XP points be added? Will the XP points be added to the bot on regular basis? There's a couple more, so I'll probably cover them all at once. We've also got a question saying the XP bot only currently serves as a display tool. Why don't we implement a bot that collectively collects all activities? And even one that says, like, will there be official documentation for the XP system? Will there be roles? And will the XPs have a conversion rate to the IO tokens? So I'll probably handle all of these at once, since essentially it's the same question, right? It's regarding the depth of the XP points that we have within our community. So look, what I would say is that the XP points are something which are always going to be incredibly valuable for us and yourself. They're going to show the activities that you guys are doing on an incredible basis, but also we want to ensure that you're fairly rewarded for all of your engagements. Now, hashing out a system that is like equitable, that is rewardable, that makes sense for our community members and us, just does take a little bit of time, but we are actively working towards it. What we are trying to implement, and naturally we do work with all of our partners like very, very aggressively on this, is a system whereby there are tiered rewards, right? So if you put in this much engagement, naturally that results in Y reward. And we're doing that. But we want the rewards to be versatile, we want them to be dynamic, we want them to be engaging. And in order to do that, we have to go through a series of steps to make sure that it is the most beneficial for our community. So, for example, I know a ton of you have been requesting merch. Well, I'm delighted to say that we are really baking at what our merch looks like. That's in like a very mature stage right now of getting to a stage where it actually makes sense, looks fantastic, and something you will love. But before we roll out an XP points system, we're getting our community moderators involved. We're getting our astronauts involved the moment we have a draft, and we'll run it by them because they know our community best, and we want to ensure that we're working in alignment with them to build something that serves all of you guys. There will be documentation, absolutely. There will be a very clear reward system, absolutely, and it will be tied to rewards that actually make you happy. And the reason why it's taking perhaps a little bit longer is because when we do launch these things, we want it to be meaningful. We want it to be something that you look forward to, and we want it to be something which is not only long term, but also sustainable. And that requires just a little bit of tinkering and a little bit of refining until we get there. I think probably by in the next few weeks or by the end of this year, we'll have a very, very clear reward mechanics. And trust me when I say that you guys are going to love it. It's going to be something that will definitely be exciting for all of you. So thank you for constantly raising this. It's something that's 100% on our radar. We are working behind the scenes to put this together, and I can't wait to share with you all soon. So much appreciated there. With that being said, we're moving on to our next section, which is regarding user experience. So we've got some questions here asking, should there be let me just put it here. We've got some questions here regarding reward distribution and buybacks. What I will say to these questions is that we are revamping the Explorer page, and we're working with product to bring everything on chain like fairly soon regarding the buybacks and for the rewards earned in distribution from our events. It's definitely being done, and these rewards will be distributed very, very soon. So if you are affected and if you haven't received a reward for something that you've engaged in, like, absolutely do raise it. Raise it to an astronaut, raise it to a community member. We will 100% be getting you those rewards. It's something that is definitely being done behind the scenes, and we hope to distribute that to you as soon as possible. But for any reason, if you are delayed, for something that, and you should have had it by now, like definitely raise it, and we'll get to that as soon as possible. Cool. With that being said, moving on to our next topic regarding future development. So a lot of you guys have sent in some incredible questions here. This is probably going to be more along Tarsif's remit. So Tarsif, we have a question from the community which says, are there any specific plans to attract customers from the Web2 world? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. So the real answer for that is we're actually already attracting a ton of customers from the Web2 side. We're to the point I feel like we're a majority of our of our largest customers are actually coming from the Web2 world rather than sort of Web3, right? I think we've kind of noticed this pattern as we've ramped up the demand side of our platform over the past few months. We're working with a number of major Web2 companies and up and coming AIML startups who are primarily dominant in the Web2 space. Some key examples would include Leonardo, who were just acquired by Canva a few weeks ago, one of the largest digital content creation platforms out there. We're working with Kriya, which is also another sort of like major image generation platform and up and coming AIML startup. We're working with Wandera, which is working in the voice gen space. So I think what we've continued to see is we've found a lot of product market fit with Web2 customers already, and this is fairly natural, right? I think based on sort of what our vision is, what we're going after, the type of product we're offering, we're looking to take down some of the biggest players in the cloud computing market, like AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, guys like that. And when we come in with our sales pitch to a lot of Web2 customers, they already are looking for an alternative where they're looking for something that's more cost effective. They're looking for more flexible terms. They're looking for GPUs that are more highly available, and we can come in and sort of offer that as an option to all of them. So the sales pitch is fairly straightforward for Web2, and I think this is one of the key things that we're kind of proving out as a platform, right? Where even though we have sort of Web3 blockchain roots and our underlying infrastructure is sort of built on the blockchain, at the end of the day, the product itself that we're developing and bringing to market has such a natural fit with Web2 that we're already finding great product market fit there.
Yeah, perfect, Tarsif. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really interesting, guys, because as the industry continues to evolve, as it continues to innovate, naturally it's always the early adopters, right? That are going to be like most inclined initially. But ionet's very, very clear on who our beachhead customer is, and as we continue to deploy for our customers, we're always going to see the paradigm of our customer base like naturally expanding. Like Tarsif said, we've got an incredible roster already, and I'm looking forward to that expanding. So thank you so much for that,
Yeah.
Tarsif.
Just adding a bit of more context for people, right?
Yeah.
They shouldn't forget that we are still a startup, right? Like it's literally like a year back we were started, and the first 6 to 9 months our focus was to create the platform and become the biggest supplier of the GPUs, and which we did. And just 3 months back, right, we decided as a community, as a team, that now we'll focus on the revenue and usage. And in no time, we are here where they're like 20 to 30% usage of platform growing exponentially, right? And when you do this, obviously you start to partnership with people who are in your boundary, which you're close to, and people also reach out to you who know your name, right? So obviously they're mostly crypto companies. And the second thing which people should realize is that crypto industry in itself is very, very fast paced. Things like things which happen in a quarter in the Web2 world happen within a month in crypto. It moves that fast. So decision making, like let's say for a crypto company to hire inventory of let's say $5 million or $3 million, the decision making in a Web3 company would be far faster compared to a Web2 company. So keep that thing in context also. That's also playing a role because right now, from past few months, as we have seen with Web3 players also, a lot of these Web2 players are coming to us, taking small lots of our GPUs, and then they are seeing the performance of it, how it's behaving. And once they are happy, then they come with the bigger orders. And that's exactly the behavior we saw with Web3 also. That when they started approaching us, they came with smaller orders. And once they were happy in a month, 1.5 month, 2 months, then they came with like much bigger offers. And we're expecting the same thing in the Web2 side also. And we're already seeing traction. One more thing which we are very proud of is our whole team recently went to a NVIDIA summit in Mumbai in the month of October. And what we realized was there were a huge number of suppliers there, and there was not even a single player remotely close to the prices which we were giving, like not even remotely close. And we got many leads on the Web2 side over there also, right? We were just there for the first time to see how the whole scenario looks like, but it was a great win for us. So overall, I think in Web2 also we are there to win. I see positive vibes there already from the leads we are getting. And don't forget from the tech perspective also, if anyone goes to our user journey, it's basically designed keeping the Web2 users in mind, a normal flow, prioritizing the intuitive interface that minimizes learning curve. And the second thing which we actually saw a quarter back itself is that all these users now just don't want the hardware anymore. They want the whole vertical of AI products. And we are proud to tell you that we are already investing in it. There are a bunch of AI products which will be coming over our inventory. And a lot of these Web2 players are interacting with us where they want this AI product plus the GPUs together. So we are already working on that side also. I can't share more details because this is still work in progress, but very soon, in a quarter or so, you will see a lot of AI products being built on top of our DePIN. And then we'll not just be DePIN, but like a whole vertical of the products. And we already have a lot of Web2 customers interested in that.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Gaurav. Incredibly exciting times, guys. And just to give context to what Gaurav is saying, right? Like, think about how much we've achieved. Like, the IONation OGs who've been here since day one, like, it's just been like higher highs, right? If you look at how much we've achieved this year, from our listing, our raises, to even getting to where we are, right? None of that would have been possible without you, and accelerating and growing and evolving at an unprecedented, like, dynamic rate, right? And that's a testament to the team we have, to the belief that you guys have. So yeah, I think it's like Steve Jobs said, right? You can only connect the dots looking backwards, and just seeing how much we've achieved this year. Like, for me, I'm incredibly excited to see where ionation goes this year, and I'm sure that many of you are as well. With that being said, guys, we've got another question here for asking about more things related to future development. So, Tarsif, the question here from the community is there a plan to reveal the identities of some of the companies that use our compute services? And is there a way to ask them to give testimonials regarding our services? What do you have to say about that?
So this is an interesting question, right? And I think there's a couple different ways to think about it. I think the first way is, at the end of the day, we're a permissionless, decentralized compute cloud, right? And we have a very sort of like clear Web3 ethos in terms of permissibility and how we enable sort of users globally to be able to access and utilize our platform. So when it comes to sort of permissionless networks, we're not necessarily in the business of going in and doxing the identity of our customers who use our compute services, right? Like, that goes against sort of like the ethos of what we're building and what we're in the market to do. So there are a number of customers who come onto our platform, use it for exactly what they need, and for the specific amount of time period that they need, and kind of move on from it without us sort of interacting with them. But on the other hand, we also work with a large number of more major customers, some of the ones who I mentioned in the answer to the previous question, plus a large number of partners across Web3, especially those who are sort of working on decentralizing other aspects of the AI tech stack, who we have mentioned publicly and who we have revealed the identity of, right? But at the end of the day, with each of these companies that we work with and who we talk about and who we promote and co-market with, this comes from sort of a deeper understanding of building out kind of a co-marketing plan, building out sort of case studies, building out an actual sort of promotional wiggle behind it, right? So for some of our largest customers who are using our platform right now, we actually have revealed the identity of them, and we have put out press releases with them, right? So some of the names I mentioned, like Leonardo, Mesa, Wandera, Korea, if you look back over the past nearly 6 to 8 months of our social posts, our partner posts, or press releases or announcements, you'll see all of these customers have publicly identified themselves as using ionet's compute services in our GPUs, and several of them have also mentioned exactly how much compute they're using. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to a choice of that customer, right? Whether and that company, whether they're open to talking about IONET, whether they're open to talking about their exact compute usage, and how exactly they want to sort of identify their sort of customer experience with us. So, of course, with the number of announcements that we have made in the past, we've seen a clear pattern where a lot of these companies are really satisfied with the GPU compute services that they're receiving from IONET. They're really satisfied with the flexibility, the pricing, and they're willing to go to market with us and essentially sort of announce publicly that they're using compute services from us. And as I kind of look through the pipeline of future customers that we're working with and who will likely onboard pretty soon, I can see that we're working on identifying a number of them who will be able to write deeper case studies around, right, and who will be able to kind of really show like at a double click level of how exactly they're using a compute, what use cases they're using for, how they're structuring their architecture, and what kind of benefits they're realizing from using IO's compute services. So you'll see a lot of testimonies come out in the form of either customer case studies or additional press release announcements that you've already been seeing over the past several months.
Yeah, for sure.
Tausif,
Well,
you want to
it's
share a bit more on the Explorer part also, which we are putting on chain? I think that will also add to more transparency.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a great call, Gaurav. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to book through our IO Explorer yet, I would highly recommend going through it, right? Because especially over the past couple months, we've seen sort of significant hockey stick growth in terms of total network earnings that's come from a lot of these like larger customers continuing to scale up their operations on IONET from initial proof of concepts all the way to full production ready live workloads that are computing sort of like customer traffic and customer workloads on their side. So I think last I checked yesterday, we're averaging around like 25K in average daily earnings every day, which is a testament to sort of how far we've come as a platform and how far we've come in terms of finding product market fit. So I think that goes a long way towards showing the how much usage we're driving from the companies that are using our services today. And if you even look at our website, just io.net, not even our cloud platform, you'll see a number of logos of startups and customers who are using our platform today who've publicly agreed to provide their logo for usage by us for marketing purposes. So I think that's another aspect you can go check out.
And I think one thing I've realized is I can raise my hand and I can like say that we can do a better job at Explorer as a team. The revenue is growing exponentially, but we can actually do a better job at showing those numbers quarter of over quarter, how much growth has happened, because there's been exponential growth, but it's not very, very clear and visible uh, quarter over quarter, month over month on those numbers, right? So what we are doing internally is there's already a thread which has started from product side, and the tech work has also started on that, where we are revamping the whole Explorer going forward so that uh, the improvement in business numbers are very easily available and visible to anyone who comes and sees the Explorer. So within a week, a couple of weeks, you'll see a lot of changes on Explorer where these things will be like very, very clearly visible in terms of business impact.
Thank you, Gaurav. Yeah, excited to see that for sure. Fantastic. Well, I know we're coming to time for our AMA, so we'll just wrap it up with one more question. And the final question here, Gaurav, is actually probably for you. So we have an interesting question, and it says, does Ionet plan to launch its own blockchain? Combining GPU power with blockchain technology could make it a pioneering network for AI projects. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so an interesting thought, right? I'll say the world does need one big AI blockchain, I believe. Um, let's just say we are always as a team exploring new ways to push the boundaries of GPU power and the blockchain technology, right? While I can't confirm anything just yet, but our vision always for IO definitely have been being like more creative, innovative pathways being explored for both the DePIN and the AI projects, right? So what I'll say is keep those ideas coming. You never know what we might be announcing in the very near future. So I can't share more, but a very interesting thought.
Love that. Love that. Fantastic sort of answer there, Gaurav. Yeah, it's incredibly interesting. This space is evolving all the time, right? And we're really excited about the future innovation that this industry has. So that's all of the questions that you guys have sent in. So first of all, thank you so much to Iron Nation for sending in really interesting, really thought-provoking questions. What I would say is that if we did not get the opportunity to answer anything that you guys have or something that may have even come up during this conversation, please feel free to send it in. We have a community. If you're not part of that community yet, please do join our Discord. That is where all of our community members are. It's an incredibly buzzing community with so many activities, events, so much going on there. That's going to give you an opportunity to connect, perhaps answer some of your initial questions or even a little bit more complicated questions. And if the team is unable to assist, then by all means, we will be answering them in our AMAs going forward. So, guys, until next time, thank you so much. We're going to have a lot more of these naturally every week, as I'm sure you guys will know. We're going to try and get in some interesting guest speakers as well. So we'll definitely be keeping you updated on that. And yeah, thank you for your time. We'll definitely, it's been a blast. And thank you for Gaurav and Tasif to join us.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Great being here again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we skipping the normally what we do at the end, the questions in the community?
We can answer some if
I
you
mean,
if you
normally
have some.
do it like if you're changing structure, like you're the moderator,
Yeah,
you rule.
absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean I'm happy to Gaurav. Yeah, let's do it. Are you able to see some of the comments and questions that people
I
have?
actually don't because I've logged in from the mobile. If you can, I can let me see.
Give me 1 second.
Second.
If there's anything that strikes your mind, let me know.
Okay. I think most of the questions are same, which we already covered. I think we are
Yeah,
mostly covered, to be honest.
looks like that from my side as well. So, guys, if there is anything else, like I mentioned, definitely feel free to send them in. But Gaurav, I don't know if you can see any. I can't see anything which is something we
No,
haven't answered already.
yeah, I think it's mostly covered, everything on those lines. Cool.
Brilliant.
Thanks, man.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for checking in, and guys, we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thanks all.
Have a
All
great
right,
day, guys.
bye.